William Moses, a prominent 19th century English medium, unveiled insights into the afterlife, a realm he believed humans were generally not meant to fully comprehend. He conveyed that higher beings, driven by mercy towards humankind, occasionally offer glimpses into this mystical puzzle. Initially, in his service as a priest in the Church of England, Moses was highly dismissive of any contact with the otherworldly realm, considering it the work of the devil. However, everything changed drastically after spirits, helpers from higher planes of existence, personally reached out to him. They informed him that their sole purpose was to show human beings their immortality, thanks to the soul, which is a spark ignited by God. Moses recorded these messages from the other side by means of automatic writing. The first thing that shocked William Moses in these transmissions was the assertion that a person cannot achieve perfect goodness without entering into conflict with darkness. There is an eternal need to undergo purification by fighting the evil that surrounds us. Only through this does the spark, ignited by the divine soul, return to its source and find peace. This is why it is so important to make every effort towards self-transformation. There is no easy path to heaven, even though divine messengers, in the form of guiding spirits, are always ready to help a person complete this journey. According to the messages from the spirits, however the soul is during earthly life, that is how it crosses into the spiritual realm. Its tastes, preferences, habits, and aversions all remain with it. A soul with crude tastes and bad habits does not change its essence after leaving the earthly sphere, just as an honest, pure, and evolved soul cannot become evil or unworthy after death. That said, the dark soul still has a chance to be cleansed, but the opportunity is not infinite. Those who fail to make use of it face oblivion. According to the spirits who conveyed this mystical information to William Moses, the spiritual world consists of 21 spheres. 6 of those spheres lie below the earthly plane and are called the spheres of sin. 7 spheres immediately above are known as the spheres of labor and trials. Still higher up are 7 levels that the spirits referred to as the spheres of contemplation. The first 3 spheres of the world of trials are located directly above the earth, and they are therefore filled with the souls of the recently deceased. In the first sphere are those who, for various reasons, remain strongly attached to material existence, people who made no progress on earth. They are not exactly evil or sinful souls, but rather indecisive individuals lacking a clear purpose, those who let their opportunities slip away, spending them on trivialities. This is also where those reside whose emotions and attachments to friends keep them from rising higher. They prefer to remain closer to the earthly plane rather than continue their development. Additionally, this realm is inhabited by unprepared souls whose spiritual development is still in its infancy and who are only beginning to learn what they should have learned on earth. Here, too, are people who had to leave the earth prematurely through no fault of their own and must still learn much before they can advance. The spirits who delivered messages through William Moses emphasized that a soul cannot dwell in a sphere that does not correspond to its spiritual vibrations. William Moses's contact with the otherworldly realm was not limited to receiving messages. On one occasion, he entered a trance and was able to make a personal journey into the afterlife. Moses himself described his unique experience. "I do not recall losing consciousness, but at some point, I suddenly found myself in a place of unbelievable beauty. I was standing at the edge of a lake beyond which stretched a range of hills covered with greenery right to their summits. I wandered along the lakeshore, savoring the breathtaking beauty of nature, and then I noticed a man coming toward me. When he approached, he introduced himself as a mentor, one of the spirits dwelling in another plane of existence to which the living practically have no access. He addressed me with these words, "You are in the land of spirits, and we want to show you its spheres." He turned and invited me to follow him. After a while, he led me to a beautiful home surrounded by a lovely garden full of astounding plants unlike anything on earth. When I asked how material the structure was, the spirit guide answered affirmatively but added that it is not what humans call matter. All these things are real to spirits, but a person cannot perceive or touch them with coarse physical senses. Later, it emerged that the inhabitants of the afterlife are not constrained by space. They are as free as light and air, able to move anywhere they wish. The spirit guide also explained to William Moses the specifics of his being in the otherworldly realm. He said, "Your spiritual eyes are open right now. Therefore, you can behold the things of the spiritual world, but you can no longer see the earthly one. The spiritual world surrounds you. It penetrates what you call the cosmos. In the world of trials, souls pursue a variety of activities, including learning and gradually acquiring higher truths, as well as developing their talents. This includes studying the secrets of the universe and learning methods of harnessing cosmic forces in the afterlife. An unenviable fate awaits those who did not perfect themselves on earth, who spiritually descended lower and lower instead of becoming better. A soul that cultivated physical appetites and neglected spiritual ones in the afterlife becomes increasingly worldly, coarse, and material. Consequently, mentors from higher realms find it harder and harder to approach it, and such a soul moves ever further from the true light. The spirits who spoke to William Moses stated that the tendency of bodily sin to reproduce itself is among the most terrible and frightening consequences in other planes of existence. They also noted that if a person's soul seeks only to gratify physical needs, then when the body dies, it continues to cling to the place where it found the most primitive pleasures. Over and over, it relives its earthly life in the vices of those it leads into sin. This explains why so many ghosts and dark entities linger around so-called seedy places. Yet even for those souls that have fallen, all is not lost. Missionary souls from the higher spheres attempt to influence them, to reignite their desire for self-improvement. Once that desire arises, a soul takes its first step towards spiritual transformation and gains the chance to return to the path of truth. Nevertheless, the number of souls unwilling to atone for their wrongdoing is exceedingly large and grows every year, as modern civilization ever more corrupts people's consciousness, training them to live by their basest, most selfish needs. The spirits who shared this mystical information with William Moses said that a soul that surrenders to the body's weaknesses eventually becomes a slave to them. It will not feel at home in a realm of purity and innocence, that is, in the higher spheres of existence. Such a soul will yearn for its old habits and the places it once loved to frequent in its darker moments. Those who never sought goodness, who were mired in filth and sin, gradually sink lower and lower until they lose their individuality and turn into utter nothingness, dissolving into eternal oblivion. Once, William Moses asked the spirits with whom he was in contact if there truly exists a so-called last judgment. They replied that it is only an allegory. In reality, the soul itself decides its own fate and acts as its own judge. The spirits also conveyed that as the soul grows in harmony and unity with all creation, it increasingly becomes like God, moving ever nearer to his image.